about a nurse.
Nurse is doing everything she can to get locals vaccinated.
We heard there's one woman, as they say, doing the Lord's work.
This is a year after the pandemic. We're still talking about the numbers, and as we see the most recent, we have 22,000 cases. These are daily cases of COVID-19, so the COVID is not gone. And today, I really wanted to present to you what's out there in India, which is really spiked, and thankfully it's maybe leveling off, but still it's a long ways in terms of how to get back. And I wanted to tell you the story of a classmate of mine who's a physician. We trained in India in Osmania University, and this is a gentleman that I saw in 2010 when I visited India. He's a very nice guy, and he's a lung pulmonologist. The story I wanted to tell you guys is, as you see that there is talk of this second peak in India. His son returned back and brought infection to the home, and the mother, father, and two children, all of them were infected. Sadly, both the mother and father got into the intensive care unit because of shortness of breath. It's so sad that I think he's a pulmonologist, and he was, in the ICU, and it's so sad that I think, he died even before his wife came out. And so it's a sad story. The reason why I want to tell you is, of course, the hospice is about death and dying. And this is not several months old. This is just last month. So could you imagine that? What I want to stress upon two things. One of them is the COVID is not gone. It's still there until all other continents, clear COVID. United States is not going to be clear of COVID. And as you know that a lot of you remember how we got from China. So if one country or more than one country still has COVID, we definitely not going to be able to get rid of it. Number two, it's very important for the young children that it is very, very important for them to get vaccinated, and because they are so sloppy in a large group gatherings, and they have a premature celebration right here in America too. And they are the persons that can bring home COVID. Unfortunately, they survived. Their parents died, so it's a very sad recollection of my friend, classmate, death of COVID-19, who's incidentally a pulmonologist or a lung specialist. So coming back to the children, there is a vaccination that's available or approved by Pfizer yesterday, and that's available from age 12 and above. So I strongly encourage anybody over 12 to obtain this COVID vaccination. It is very serious, and these young kids can bring home, and it can affect the elderly. I bring to you another story of an infectious disease specialist, just like me. He's a professor at Rutgers University and was visiting India because of his father-in-law was sick with COVID. And incidentally, he got sick with COVID. It is so strange that I wanted to bring to your attention that Dr. Kapila was actually vaccinated. He got Pfizer vaccine 1 and 2 and still got infected. So what I'm trying to bring to your attention is that there is a variant of COVID-19 that's still present, and a lot of it may be there in India, but it is possible in America as well. So I would not be lenient despite being vaccinated to mask and avoid the large groups and social distancing and till we actually have everything clear, because it's very, very important. And this is another young man, infectious disease doctor, just like me, died, folks, and he got vaccinated. So the COVID is real, and currently the concern is for the variant COVID. So we really need to be, even if you're vaccinated, you got to use your mask and social distancing and avoid the large gatherings, because there might be a variant vaccine, a variant COVID. And just to sum up, I think throughout the world, China is leading with vaccinations of 317 million people, vaccinated. Then comes the United States, and obviously number 3 is India. What is more important is that the vaccination is something that is very important, and it should be available to all these countries. Just imagine, out of the 1.3 billion people vaccinated, 60 to 70% of them are vaccinated in the developed countries, like the 3 countries plus Europe. So there is a lot of underdeveloped, or perhaps like 80% of the countries do not have access to vaccine and cannot get vaccination. And that's the only way to clear pandemic. So the current administration, President Biden, has indicated that he is going to waive the patent rule of these vaccines. Thereby, a lot of these countries will be able to manufacture the generic versions of this vaccine. So I'm hoping that would be a big step in making these vaccines available throughout the world. I repeat, if United States wants to get rid of COVID-19, all other countries need to be clear of it. We don't live in a bubble. We live in a free country, a lot freer now. There are no closed borders. And so it is very important. This vaccine is available throughout the world. And I'm hoping that these generic vaccines will start getting manufactured in India and Brazil and all other countries, because they have a lot of technology, but not enough to duplicate or do a generic form of this vaccine. So I think this would be something. It's a very great opportunity that we have in this serious challenge of COVID, to make this vaccination available throughout the world. So hopefully, maybe by the end of this year, that we'll get rid of COVID. And also, before I close the COVID discussion, that I think I also wanted to invite Carla to update, her program of COVID Crusaders and her leadership in vaccinations.
Thank you, Dr. Akula. I always like to give you an update on where we're at. As of today, we are now at 744 being inoculated. I know on tomorrow we have 20 more to do. So between the Crusaders, Canon, and also for Bordelon, our number now is at 744. And as you know, we began inoculation on March the 26th. So I think we're going to turn this curve with those who really need this vaccine.